And this is existing workflow. So we look at all these points, we look at all the pain points, so what are the inefficiency in the whole total process, and improve it. And I want to say example like triage. Triage we did actually challenge in acute, already talk about the CT. CT is most ER room exclusively, probably 99.9% is on CT. It's very lossy, and in the first less than 3 hours we can't see anything, the infect. And we don't have many specialists, especially in the small hospital, rural area. And diffusion, what happened? He died. Okay, come on. And MRI is a standard. Unfortunately, MRI is only in hospital, only for monitoring. And right now, this is statistic. You like it, don't like it. This is national statistic. We overcall 30% of cases, and we miss 20%. We miss those mild, you have a big stroke, you can tell. Moderate, mild, microsegmentation, you miss it a lot of time. Basically, flip a coin, half the call wrong. So what we did at triage stage, we're using a audio, right? I mean, just basically cell phone. You take same thing. We take a picture, take a video, and ask them to look at, read the story. So we look at your facial, 3D facial, and audio, analyze post data, apply deep learning, and try to triage you. And this is done actually. We have. Is it okay? What happened? And then we go back. We already implemented an app basically. And this app just replaced the triage nudge when you look at it. 3D facial and also read the story on this part. And this is the statistic, the feasibility study we done by gender, age, ethnicity, and race. And this published last year. Now we have about 300 cases. These 160 cases are algorithms will perform everyone, including physician. This gives you more data, more detailed data. CI, clinical impression, means emergency doc. We cannot compare with nurse with emergency doc. Emergency doc, a human being, we have everything in the emergency room. And you look at the accuracy, just the video app, the AI app, and can get about 72% accuracy, higher than the 69% of the human. And this is not surprising, frankly. If you know what you're doing, AI actually suppress performance better than human. If you know what you're doing, focus on one problem. And the only thing is I mentioned a little bit about the race part. I noticed that the red one I point out, the African American is a lower, 0.55 in terms of AUC. And I go back to look at the data, and we find out actually we don't have that many African American patients in the beginning. So the system little bias of that. Since then, we compensate. So my point is AI itself is biased. Make sure your algorithm is very good. Right now, we compensate quite well. And so this is the part we are right now doing a prospective trial, about 1,000 patients in our 8 hospital center, and it will be interesting to see. The second one I want to show you the CT part. After this, I remember the whole idea is not piecemeal, it's integrate them together. What are the AI automation can do? And I mentioned before, right? CT is, we missed non-contrast CT, the workhorse in the ER room. We missed about ischemic stroke, 2/3 of them. And the reason, but we cannot increase the dosage because you're adding radiation damage. So at the same time, it's a dilemma. So we try to think about, can AI do something about it? And we do, actually. We look at the data, and what we do is, I go back a little bit. We're using longitudinal CT scan of the same patient, 6 or 7 of them, put it back into an integrated system, and generate a particular algorithm. And this is called we call it SRED, GCNN. This approach, the one in the, I can't see, but the one on the far, if you look at the original CT, you can see very noisy. This is actually the physician looking at this reason so noisy. State-of-the-art AI is the middle, and the one we have, the quality we measure is much better. It's about 300 patients. It's published work, and this is a really model dependent. I don't care which scanner, the performance is still consistent. So we have denoise, keep the signal the same, reduce the noise, with 10 times more than the normal dosage, virtually, by taking advantage of the previous scan of the same patient, 300 patient. So this is the only one denoising algorithm available for that. And this example will give you some idea. It's very hard to say. The one on the original on causality, I have a greens, you probably don't see very clearly, it's a green part in the middle. You can see that's what the machine see, one peak, but we know there are two tissues. After denoising, if I circle same part, the machine can distinguish them. There are two different types of tissue. That's the reason how you can tell the differences. And these are the cases, 12 old cases that radiologists ER missed, and we're using our denoising algorithm. They read it again, they forgot what case this is, it's probably half a year later already. But they can pick it up faster than AI. Faster than basically the previous misdiagnosis case, they pick it up quickly. Instead of the N or the DWI, the diffusion weighted image, that's the one that when the patient is already hospitalized, that's what we do, is too late. And some of these patients actually, unfortunately, die actually. If we can catch up earlier, we can avoid this tragedy. And we also measure under different region, the gray matter, white matter, thalamus, different areas, and compare our result quantitatively, and result is consistently better. And one lesson we learned from it is interesting. You notice that I'm not using a lot of data. I only use about 300 patients. So if you know your physiology, you know your biology, you don't really need so much data to train your deep learning model. And this is something to take up. Domain knowledge is absolutely important. And the other thing is, I know AI deep learning, a lot of us like to do synthetic, do data augmentations, increasing the data set. Is bad in this case. I try to reduce noise, data augmentation, adding more noise. Don't use it. But these are some lessons we learned. And right now we put this thing into a box, a DICOM box. DICOM is a standard for the image communication. Can I turn it on again? What happened? Okay. It's a GPU edge computing put inside a box. So it's just a small box like this size. I can plug it into the hospital network. I can talk to the scanner, I can talk to PACS, talk to the workstation. I don't need to talk to GE, Philips, Siemens, right? Just very easy. So right now we can just ship it here, send it back with DICOM back to the scanner. The radiology can read it right away, the quality. And that's a way, is everybody go for cloud computing, we'll go reverse direction. We are actually, it's going backward. We're going to edge computing. We want to take control from the cloud. Once you go to the cloud, actually you lost a lot of control. And the last thing I want to show another example is about evaluation. We put all these things together, all the index, we are testing this index, whether it works or not working, we quantitate it. But this is an interesting one we are ongoing right now. It's also in treatment. I show you triage, diagnostic, this is a treatment part. I say there's no shortage of treatment. If I know that is a stroke, right away you can do it. And one approach is thrombectomy. It's very common, cerebral interventions. And depending on your stroke, you call thrombectomy, aneurysm, called embolization, carotid atherosclerosis, angioplasty. It's the same idea, basically put a wire in and then go in the right area and clear up the area. This is very highly skilled, you can tell, very time independent. There's not that many people have this type of skill. The problem is, can I move? Right. So, right cord need to be removed within 6 to 24 hours on the symptom onset. Otherwise, just permanent damage can do. The timing is very important. And these are the EVO, the emergency large scale occlusion is about 30% all ischemic cases. Interesting statistic. We've done about 200,000 US, 1.71, but reality is only about 15% to 20%, 10% actually. We actually done 10% of eligible patients. They should go through this procedure to cure the stroke. We did not. We missed 90% of them, basically, because exactly the point I want to is there are many reasons. One of them is we miss during the triage, we miss the diagnosis, ER room, or we don't have enough specialists to be around to help them. And try to, which in the case we try to do that, try to approve it. So we think about whether AI or even telerobotics can really make the equity of the access easier to the physician. So give you some idea, very simple idea of thrombectomy. Basically, very simple, right? You're using C-arm or CAF. You look at it, look at the image, and physician did a wire. And basically, the process is very simple. You see it, see the catheter, you see the artery, and you know which artery is the catheter in, so you go to the right area and clear the clot. It's a very simple procedure, but highly skilled. It's a very delicate procedure, and you control. And this will give you some idea, the challenge, right? Normally, you have many wires in the body, and the machine will be very confused, very noisy, and very poor contrast. And the pixel are less than 1% of overall pixel. You need to be very, very accurate. And many wire-like structure in the same area as is shown in this picture. So it's very confusing for AI. So how to do it? We actually develop, without detail, this is already published. We actually using the AI algorithm. We look at input data in real time. We can look at catheter segmentation, and then we go through the vessel segmentation at the same time. Catheter segmentation tell the wire where to go. The vessel show you where the wire, the vessel around. This is really for human, frankly, machine doesn't need it. And then we integrate together and go to the rich area. The whole process is automatic. And this is the so-called deep learning deep position tracking on this new native fluoroscopic sequences. And our result is very good because the overlap is 0.95. I mentioned about we need to reach 10%, is much better than 10%. So the accuracy is very good. And I'll give you some example. The middle one is the ground truth. The right one is the AI predicted. The wire go in and go to the right spot. And the bottom are these are patients in terms of their dice range score. Dice score means that how much overlapping with the real and the prediction. And the result is astoundingly well. We're very excited about this result. And the next step, we will integrate into robotics. The whole idea is really about clean the clot itself is easy. How to remember the wire normally come from the neck. The diamond go up to the body. It's a long process. Some are using arm. It's very highly trained, and most patients cannot get this procedure and get suffer for life because there's not enough specialists around in time to do this procedure. And that's when we want to automate this process. For even ordinary surgeon can do it. Once you get there, ordinary surgeon can do that. You don't need a specialist anymore. So to summarize a little bit, just give you a case example. Why was the motivation when you look at the whole total workflow? I took a stroke at the case. You can imagine some other cancer or other cases, the same idea. So AI automation, I'm really excited about transformation in healthcare, but it requires integrations of different data and also complexity of different sensor data, robotic information. Focus right now is a piecemeal automation, as I mentioned, it's not optimized. We are going to the next stage to be making an impact, really designing well in the workflow, how to integrate together. So to adding the overall patient care and experiences, and this require, I think in the panel we mentioned, you need design, you need oversight, evaluation, ongoing monitoring. This is a new thing that IT may not be capable to do it at the moment. You need to be retrained IT workforces, just like a system. And one thing that I don't like is, this one is fine, but the other thing is, if you really want to replace the physician, I don't know, get a physician outside the loop. I always want to do that. For a mundane task, they should not do it, because it's repetitive. You should spend more time with the patient on the bedside. So like telemedicine, right? Telemedicine is a dumb telemedicine. Basically, it's two people. You're still targeting two people. Imagine early on, if I have this, we're doing telestroke. Imagine I have this video, the video app for looking at it. The guy can log in remotely. They just look at themselves very right away, get the result. Just a telestroke. So the next step is improvement, and also there's a lot of lifelike avatar. A lot of people talk about ChatGPT, adding empathy. Right now, AI is very cold, very accurate, fine, but missing the human component. How to put it in is still an art. We are trying to learn how to put it in. Remember, patient has to trust you before they let you do on it. I mean, it's very important, trust relationship. And all these require some redesign sometimes. Whenever you put a new exciting technology, useful technology into the workflow existing process, you have to optimize. In no way you say using old process. I know the IT will say stick at it is very inefficient. Because your process make the old process kind of obsolete. You make it more efficient, more effective. So you need to redesign it to get a better value out of it. I can't do it myself. It's a party for my lab and some of my colleagues and a wonderful team of colleagues, physicians, scientists, and graduate students, and my neighbor, MD Anderson and Penn State, my students. That's all. Quickly, I'm sorry. That's all I have. Very quick. Please.